So two teams just got some surprising players back that were gone for unique reasons, and regardless of how said teams are currently doing, this is important for both of them down the road. So I've got to talk about that as well as look at some of the craziest matchups. There are quite a bit of them for Week 11 of the NFL season, right after... First up, we've got a couple players making their long-awaited returns to their respective teams, with each of their situations being pretty unique. The first guy I want to talk about is Patriots defensive tackle Christian Barmore. He was diagnosed with blood clots back in July and was placed on the non-football injury list while he went through treatment. He hasn't played all season, but just logged his first practice today, which is tremendous news for the team and also himself. He was a second-round pick back in 2021 and was coming off a career season last year in which he had 64 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, and 8.5 sacks. He's been a bright spot on a struggling Patriots team the last few years, so they'll be happy to have him back, as he's certainly one of their key building blocks moving forward. The next player making his return is Raiders tight end Michael Mayer. He's missed the last 6 games, I believe, as he's been out due to personal reasons. It's not even specific, that's all I know. He was placed on the NFI list as well on October 11th and hasn't played or practiced since. Again, neither he nor the Raiders have disclosed what the heck is going on, so all we have is what he said to the media this week. He spoke about his absence, and again, he didn't go into detail, but he said that the Raiders have been supportive during his time away and that he's in a much better place now.
It was a personal matter. Me and my family handled it behind closed doors, but I'm so thankful for this organization. I'm so thankful for the support they've shown me, and man, I felt really happy and good out there today.
So while we may not know the ins and outs of his situation, I'm definitely happy to hear that he's in a good headspace and that he's back doing what he loves. I mean, with the Kansas City Chiefs, they have not a similar situation, but running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been dealing with some PTSD, mental health issues himself, and hasn't played all season, so I can definitely relate from at least a fan perspective when a player is going through a hard time. Anyway, there hasn't been any official word on whether or not Mayer's going to play this Sunday. He's been out for quite a while and may need a little bit more time to get up to speed, but we shall see. He, just like Christian Barmore, was a second-round pick. The Raiders actually traded up to draft him 35th overall in the 2023 draft, but he's clearly been usurped by Brock Bowers as the team's #1 tight end, who the Raiders drafted 13th overall this year. However, if they can somehow find a quarterback, the 1-2 tight end combo of Mayer and Bowers could become the best in the NFL. Next up, Week 11 may have one of the best slates of the season so far. There are all kinds of matchups that I cannot wait to watch. First, the 6-3 Packers are traveling to Chicago to take on their division rival in the Bears, who have lost 3 straight and are sitting at 4-5. I'm definitely curious to see how the firing of Shane Waldron and the promotion of Thomas Brown impacts the Bears offense. If they come out flat and fall to 4-6 at the hands of the Packers, Bears fans might boo Matt Eberflus right out of town. The Packers would move to 7-3 with the win, and while Detroit is pretty likely to win that division, a win over the Bears would go a long way towards a wild card berth, with the 49ers right on their heels for the 7th seed at the moment. Then the only reason I'm excited to see the Jets and Colts is to see Anthony Richardson and how he looks in his first game back after being benched for 2 weeks because he needed some milk. The Jets may be a mess right now, but their defense is allowing the second fewest passing yards per game and will present all kinds of challenges for Anthony Richardson. Other than that, there's not much to take away from this game. I mean, the Jets have some fun players: Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, a lot of playmakers, but they're still only 3-7, and the Colts are 4-6. So both of these teams would need a miracle, basically, to make the playoffs, regardless of the outcome on Sunday. Next up, the 7-2 Steelers are hosting the 7-3 Ravens in a battle for the top spot in the AFC North. The Steelers are coming off a super impressive road win over the Commanders last week and have been rolling with Russ at the helm. They're averaging just over 30 points per game and are 3-0 since making the change from Justin Fields to Russell Let's Weld Wilson. Pair that with the second best scoring defense in the league, and you have yourself one hell of a squad. As for the Ravens, they've got a few days of extra rest for this game as they played the Bengals on Thursday Night Football last week, so they're coming off a mini-bye. Lamar Jackson and the offense bailed them out of another miserable defensive performance, and they escaped with the win over Cincy. Their offense has been doing it all this year, and it's why they're putting up the most points and yards per game this season. I, for one, cannot wait to watch their offense go up against the Steelers' defense it should be a pretty freaking good one. Then, the Falcons and Broncos are both coming off of disappointing losses and are looking to bounce back. Atlanta lost to the Saints last week. Before that, the Saints had lost 7 straight, so pretty wild. Then the Broncos thought they had the W against the Chiefs until their potential game-winning field goal got blocked. The Broncos need this win more than Atlanta, to be honest. They're holding on to the last wildcard spot right now, but the Bengals, Colts, shoot, even the Dolphins, maybe, it's an outside shot, but maybe, aren't too far behind. Meanwhile, Atlanta has a 2-game lead on the Bucs in the NFC South, plus they hold the tiebreaker over them, and Tampa is struggling big time right now. The Niners are hosting the Seahawks for their second matchup of the year, with San Fran handling them back in Week 6. Well, now they've got even more firepower this time around with Christian McCaffrey back and healthy. Seattle's defense is going to need to step up if they want a chance in this one. They've been allowing over 24 points and 350 yards per game this season, which is not going to cut it against the Niners, who are 7th in scoring and 2nd in yards on offense. I'm expecting San Fran to get the win, and if they do, they'll have the same record as Arizona, who is on their bye this week. The Cardinals do have the tiebreaker over them at the moment, but things in that division should get extremely interesting down the stretch. Then, of course, I'm biased, but the game of the week, in my opinion, and even to the opinion of many others around the league, is the Chiefs and the Bills. Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes. They've played each other 7 times in their careers, and while the Bills have had their number in the regular season, going 3-1 in 4 games, the Chiefs win when it really matters and are 3-0 against Buffalo in the postseason. At a quick glance, these teams are kind of the inverse of each other, at least statistically speaking. The Bills are 3rd in scoring, but 9th in points allowed. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are 11th in scoring, but 5th in points allowed. Patrick Mahomes has 9 interceptions, and Josh Allen has just 4 and is on pace to finish with the fewest of any season in his career. Though, to be fair, he's thrown several of those interceptions in the last 2 or so games. The Chiefs are 9-0, but Buffalo isn't that far behind at 8-2. If the Bills manage to get the win, the race for the 1 seed in the AFC becomes a lot more interesting down the road. Then for Sunday Night Football, we've got what should be a great game between the Bengals and Chargers. Cincinnati desperately needs a win here as they're at 4-6. And when it comes to the playoffs, are definitely on the outside looking in. Similar to the Ravens, their offense has been electric, but their defense has let them down all season. They're scoring 27 points per game, which is 6th in the league, but they're allowing over 26 points per game, which is 7th most. Joe Burrow has been playing out of his freaking mind. He leads the league in passing yards and is tied for the most touchdowns with 24. Well, he's got his work cut out for him against the Chargers because they are holding opponents to just 13.1 points per game, which is by far the best in the NFL. In fact, that is the fewest points allowed by a team with a first-year head coach since the 2011 49ers, who were also led by first-year coach Jim Harbaugh. He's definitely had a huge impact on that team. They've become a defensive juggernaut with a solid run game and Justin Herbert at QB, who has been doing a terrific job at managing games. His yards and touchdowns are down from previous seasons, but he's only thrown 1 interception all season, which is huge for a team that can rely on their defense like the Chargers can. Anyway, with all that being said, let me know your thoughts on some of your favorite matchups for Week 11. Do you agree with some of mine, or who did I miss? Let me know in the comments down below, and with that, I'll see y'all next time.